Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome to the Final Furlong podcast and our weekend preview. It is great to have you with us. If you're a new subscriber, you are very welcome. I have to tell you, you've been missing out on some weekend winners from the boys who have been in tremendous form. Another 3 winners from them last week. I was bloody awful on last week's show, but I will endeavour to match the red-hot form from Peter Michael and Andy Newton, and we're going to go straight into the big race of the weekend, the Tingle Creek, 3 o'clock, Sandown on Saturday, and Jeff Banks Bet is odds on about last year's winner, Jonbon, who bids to become the first horse to win back-to-back runnings of the Tingle Creek since Cotto Star 18 years ago. Essentially, the iPhone and Netflix had not been invented yet the last time a horse won back-to-back runnings of the Tingle Creek. And when Cotto Star won his first one, YouTube was only a year old. So in the YouTube era, is Jonbon going to be the first horse to win back-to-back Tingle Creeks, Peter Michael?
Yes, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. I mean, you tell me who's going to beat him.
Quilixios?
No.
Elaborate further. Why are you so confident that he just goes and wins?
He's beaten them all before. Any of these horses that's lined up against him, he's beaten them. Beaten them easy. He's the best horse in the race. All he has to do is just get around, clear around. If he turns up 90% of his ability, 95% of ability, he'll win. So 4 to 6 there. There's worse. I think that's what I saw there. Am I right?
Yeah,
4 to 6
yeah,
with
6
Jeff.
to 4 on with Jeff.
Yeah, it's not my style of punting. I wouldn't be advising anyone to be piling in, but I certainly wouldn't be laying him. And I think 4 to 6 is actually a good price. I'd make him more 1 to 2, or even a bit shorter than that. I just can't see anything
that's
that would beat him.
That's probably the best price I've seen, actually. That 4 to 6.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's a nice price. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. I definitely I don't want to say he's valued at 4 to 6, but I think he is valued at 4 to 6. And yeah, he's definitely, if anyone is looking for something to put in a double, I'd be sticking him in it, because I don't see anything. The others are all, don't get me wrong, they're good, quality, decent, top class horses, but Jonbon is just a league above them. Simple as that.
4 starts at Sandown, 4 wins, unbeaten in 5 starts going right-handed, 10 out of 10 on flat tracks. He's raced 12 times over fences. He's won 10. The only 2 horses to ever beat him in his life are Constitution Hill and El Fabiolo. Factoring all of those things in and eligible to improve second run off a layoff, Andy, are you as confident as Peter is?
Well, just hold on. Elixir de Nuts did beat him as well. But that was Jonbon smashed the fence, I think, out of the way, and he still nearly won.
True, but I did just give out Russian disinformation on the show, and it will be interesting to see if, now that I've said Russian disinformation, if YouTube suppressed this episode, if the algorithm goes, if the AI decides to go, wait, they're talking politics. But yes, that was Russian disinformation and misinformation, of course. Well done, Elixir de Nuts, who was really good that day, and it's an awful shame what happened to that horse afterwards. But the fact that Jonbon almost won the race anyway, despite making another hash of the last, just goes to prove he is in a different league. And I know Aidan Coleman has a real concern about him at Cheltenham, and I agree with that. I completely agree. And Aidan's going to know the horse an awful lot better than the vast majority of people, given all the success he had with him. But I'm a massive Quilixios fan, Andy, and I really hope he runs well. But he's going to make all the running. Jonbon's just going to take a lead from him. And it's whenever Nico wants to, he'll just go, bye-bye.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I mean, I don't know, Jonbon's a bit of a funny horse for me. I mean, there's no doubt in his class, but it's not like a flashy winner, is it? So, it hasn't probably got the following that, a horse with its record, 10 wins from 12 over fences that should have sort of in the past, really. But, those against it will sort of go again, the jumping errors that it has made. But look, it's never fallen. It's made a few sort of Horlickses of a few fences. But, as Peter said, it sort of just keeps running against the same horses, isn't it? Boot Hill, I think it's run against 3 times. Obviously beating it 3 times. Edwardstone, I think it's 4 times it's run against that. 4 wins against the previous winner of this race as well. So look, it's going to be sort of more of the same. I don't think it's going to be super duper impressive performance. It will be another sort of workmanlike effort. It will be sort of bounding up the hill. And like you sort of touched on there with Aidan Coleman going on about Cheltenham. I mean, look, having a look at the Champion Chase market, Jonbon favourite just sort of clinging on there, 7-2. Gaelic Warrior 4s, El Fab is 8s, and Energumin 10s, and so on. And I don't know. Look, it'll win this, but I don't think I'll be backing it at Cheltenham. Put it that way. So I don't know what you guys think. I mean, I just think this I'll just be looking to take it on massively in the Champion Chase personally.
No,
I mean, if it wins today, well, interesting. It goes over £1 million prize money as well. It's just shy. It's about 90 grand short of that as well. So that'll be another sort of landmark for it as well.
Didn't he cost a bloody fortune? Yeah, 570,000.
Yeah.
So he's made his money back. To be fair,
Of course, yeah.
913 grand is an insane amount of money for a racehorse to be getting. They just out of interest, because the betting will change, you would imagine. The Champion Chase betting with Jeff Banks Bet, 3-1 favourite Gaelic Warrior, Jonbon 100-30, El Fab 7s, Energumin 8s. We're going to see him back at the weekend. Marine Ash. Oh jeez. 16s. I'm looking forward to talking to Barry Connell on the show again, hopefully before Christmas. And there's Quilixius. So when I put him up on the show, he was 50s. In fact, Jeff wasn't even quoting him. He was like, nah, that horse has got no chance. He's now 25s. He has £13 to find on time form ratings. He's got £15 to find on official ratings, and I believe it's a similar one on RPR's for him as well, 155 to 170. Yeah. I think at Cheltenham, Quilixius is going to be a player, and this is going to be a big test for him. A big, big test. I'd be amazed if he beats Jonbon at Sandown, though. I'd be really surprised.
Yeah. It's just hard to sort of navigate that form last time. I mean, it looked impressive, obviously, beating Marine Nationale, but that clearly ran below par. And then you think, well, what else did it beat? But, fair play for Henry for bringing it over. I mean, he's won this in the past as well, hasn't he? He was sized in Europe. So, that's a plus. But I don't know. Look, there's going to be a lot of people probably playing the TriCast here as well, isn't there? And trying to pick the second and third. Edwardstone is going to be in there. You'd be amazed if that's not in the top 3, do you think? But look, last 10-year-old to win the Tingle Creek, Moscow Flyer,
yeah, the greatest 2-mile chaser I've ever seen.
Exactly. So 2004 that was. So I think that's possibly the only one that's when I went back to like 1979 or something of that age. So that would be a big achievement. Boot Hill, there was a tiny little sort of inkling last time, wasn't there, at Cheltenham, when you thought Boot Hill's going to get him. There was like about a split second where he went up the inside and got a bit of short for room, but look, that's probably going to get played. Look, I think I'll throw one in for the TriCast, right? Whether it's going to come second or third, I think JPR1 could outrun its odds slightly. I just think, and the reason why is, look, it's still only 7, and I think that Edwardstone and Boot Hill, we've probably come to the ceiling of their, improvement. Whereas JPR1, I just think there might be a little bit more there. It was quite impressive in the Howden Gold Cup at Exeter. And look, Joe Tizard, he won this as a jockey back in the day. His old man never won it as a trainer, so he could get one up on his old man here. I'm not saying it's going to win, but I think maybe sort of play it as a second and third with Edwardstone in the TriCast, Jonbon to win, and those two, little TriCast perm. Let's do that, shall we?
I'm pretty certain Quilixius is going to be second here. I like Edwardstone. I respect him, but I do think the one thing that concerns me is do they get into a pace battle? But Quilixius can stay further. He's got class. He's got speed. He jumps very well. I just think Jonbon will pick him up probably before the last, and he'll go and win this race. But maybe in March things will be a little bit closer, and I'm very confident that Quilixius can be a player this season in the 2-mile division. But a flat track, Jonbon's just a flat track bully. This is his day. He'll win this, and he's pretty much a banker for the lucky 15s, lucky 31s, lucky 63s, all the multiple bets. We're all with Jonbon. Peter, if you wanted to do a multiple, some sort of exotic bet, and Andy, your 1, 2, 3 is?
It's going to be Jonbon, JPR, and Edwardstone, and then the other two, the third round the other way. So we'll perm it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Peter, for you?
Probably Jonbon, and tied for second between Edwardstone and Boot Hill. Maybe Master Chewy could sneak a place.
Jonbon Quilixius. Maybe JPR?
We've got a lot of bases covered there, haven't we?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna play the exacta for sure, because I think Quilixius is overpriced. But Jonbon, jeez, I don't know. He's the kind of horse that, for whatever reason, he doesn't have that fan base, and he is the kind of horse that you can just put in as the absolute banker material bet, and then he lets you down, and you're screaming and roaring internally to yourself afterwards, going, why did I rely on that horse so heavily? But he really should be winning this race. A little bit more competitive at Aintree, where their big race, of course, is the Becher Handicap, Chianti Classico. Cheltenham Festival hero in the Ultima. His ultimate aim this season is the Grand National. He is the 4-1 joint favourite with Gabois. I've butchered that pronunciation. I know I have. Didn't I do a phonetic spelling of his name earlier on? Gaborio! Round of applause for pronouncing a name correctly on the show. Jeez. He's the 4-1 joint favourite. King Turgeon, who beat him last time out in the Sefton with a really, really smart round of jumping. It was a joy to behold. He's a stunning grey. There's an awful lot to like about that racehorse, particularly David Pipe's form this season. He's had 15 chase starts, but he's only 6, and he seems to have a new lease of life as a chaser. That being said, don't know if he's going to like the ground, Peter Michael. So who do you like in the Becher?
Well, I mean, he's won, and there's a lot of rain forecast, as we know, for the weekend, and I think King Turgeon's won on heavy before Emmet. I will be going for Gaborio in this.
You're going against, because King Turgeon you put up last time, didn't you? And
yeah, I will be going for Gaborio in this. I think he's better off in the weights today with King Turgeon. The softer ground and the step up and trip will suit Gaborio more. You have to respect King Turgeon and Chianti Classico. They're two horses who are very likeable horses. Chianti Classico has a lot of weight, but he's a very classy animal, and he's without doubt the class horse in the race. But I think the extra distance and the softer ground, because it could be pretty soft there, lads. So I think Gaborio's the one for me in this race. He stays all day, and he's receiving a good bit of weight from Chianti Classico, and he's better off in the weights of King Turgeon. Step up and trip will suit him. Ground should be no problem. Gaborio for me here, boys.
He's better off at the weights, but I think it's like minimal, isn't it? I think it's like £2.
It's £2. He's £2 better off.
Yeah, because I think they were like level last time, weren't they, or something? But
no, he's more than £2 better off, lads.
He's running out of the handicap, isn't it? It's £3 out of the handicap.
Right, maybe I should do more homework then.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, Peter, but
yeah, no, you're right, but he's still going to beat him. I think that race was a stepping stone for Gaborio to this race. I mean, there's a 40-something thousand pound difference in first prize money. So I think that's going to leave him spot on for this race, whereas King Turgeon already had a run under his belt. And obviously Gaborio was out the last time doing his best and trying. But I think that's going to bring him on. And I think, granted a clear round, he should be hard to keep out of the first. There's a first 3. How many do we have? Yeah, first 3. You might get first 4 if there's unknown runners. So I make it between the top 3 in the betting. I can't see Jeff's betting there. King Turgeon, Gaborio and Chianti Classico, but with the weight he's getting from Chianti Classico, and he's just slightly better off with King Turgeon the weights, he'll be fitter for the run. The softer ground will suit him. Step up and triple suit him. The experience around the course will help him. Yeah, so Gaborio for me in that one. But I mean, Chianti Classico is a horse you have to love. He's just so likeable. And same with King Turgeon as well. But I think Saturday could be Gaborio's day, lads.
Yeah, for all that Chianti Classico is obviously very, very talented, the weight's going to be a problem, Andy.
It is, yeah. And you got to feel for Tom Bellamy, because he got injured, didn't he, the other day? Was it at Haydock? And he was due to ride. So Jonathan Burke's stepping in, which is absolutely fine. It's a funny horse, isn't it? It seems like it's been around forever, doesn't it? Chianti Classico, but it's only run, I think, 6 times over fences. I mean, it's won 4 of those, but yeah, 12 stone is going to be a tough ask. I think I saw a tweet from our mate Paul Ferguson today, and he said that it is lashing down there already. And we're recording this on Thursday. So, look, as Peter said, there's more due in the Liverpool area, and but last year it was heavy, and I mean, God, they finished. Well, there was a lot of them pulled up, wasn't there? And they finished strung out. I don't know how many finished, but I think it was probably only a handful. And we have obviously got last year's winner in here, Chambard, and I think that has got to be one for the shortlist. Look, it's a 12-year-old, and that will put people off. But, last year it was obviously 11 when it won, but we've had 11-year-old winner in 2022. We've had Oscar Time winner at 13. Hello Bud won this at 14. So I'm not too worried about the age. We know Venetia's horses are still absolutely flying in. She's 34% strike rate. The only sort of thing, I mean, last year it won with, I think it only had about 10 stone on its back, 10 stone 1. It's only got like £5 in the ratings, but because of, whatever the class of horse in the race this year, it's got 11 stone 2 to carry. I mean, Lucy Turner gets on well with it, taking off 5, so that will help. So I think that's the each way value. I'm with the ones at the top of the market. I'm with you with Gaborio. I think that's going to overturn the form with King Turgeon. Looked like it needed to run a tad longer trip, blah, blah, blah. It's running £3 out of the handicap, we know, but it still gets in here with 10 stone 2. I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 6 winners have had 10 stone 8 or less. So, you generally want something that, has got a bit of a lighter burden on its back for obvious reasons. And look, the other sort of huge stat that I think it knocks out at least 2 or 3 of the front players in the market is the age, right? We've had, in the last 22 run-ins, 20 have been 8 or older. So, look, King Turgeon is only 6. Chianti Classico 7, that Cruise Control's up there in the betting, that's 7 as well. So look, if you think that age stat's going to continue, then there's 3 of the top 4 players we can just put a line through. And that's it really. I mean, look, Percussion lights the track, but that's just well out of the handicap. They're trying the first time visor. If the race falls apart just because it's got a good record at Aintree, you wouldn't sort of put it against it nabbing sort of 3rd or 4th or something like that. But look, Gaborio, Chambard, the 2 players here for me.
Chambard is interesting. I'm pretty sure horses having their first run of the season in this race have a pretty woeful record. But horses who are double figure aged and have won the race before, they've all got good records in it. And also Venetia Williams is just winning with everything at the moment, so there's an awful lot to like about him in that regard. I do think the ground is going to be a big factor in this race. I do not think King Turgeon is going to like the ground. He won a handicap which was a 0 to 105. He's had 13 starts on soft or heavy, and that's his only win. So maybe he'll be fine over it, but it is a stamina trip, and that's going to really suit Gaborio. So I very much agree in that sense. Second run off a layoff will suit, and he was doing his best work towards the end of that race as well. So whether or not King Turgeon will be suited by this trip, this ground, I'm not so sure, but it will suit Gaborio, and that obviously is why the market has reacted so favourably for him as well. I'm not in love with the price, but I do think he's got the right profile for the race. And only 1 horse from 39 in the last 16 have won this race from a mark of 150 or higher. And only 2 horses have carried more than 11 stone 5 to victory in the last 11 runnings. You want to be looking for something with a better profile. Gaborio has it. The 2 boys are in agreement. I think it's going to suit him. Hopefully it does. We'll switch to Sandown for a bit of a nightmare of a race, but an intriguing one. The 115 is the Pretemps Network Handicap Hurdle. You automatically qualify for Cheltenham if you win the race, assuming your rating is okay, but you're...
I think so, yeah.
Finished top 3, top 4, so who's going to be staying on to 3rd with a view to the Cheltenham Festival? Peter Michael, is there anything in this race that interests you, or are there better betting options later in the weekend?
Yeah, no, nothing really, to be honest. I had a look at this and I just said, I'm going to leave it to yourself and Andy. It's too hard for me to work out, so I'm going to pass on this. Am I allowed to do that, Emmet?
Of course.
Am I passing 1 or 2 of them?
Of course.
Thank you, sir.
As long as you're supplying winners throughout the afternoon, that's all right. We can let you skip 1 or 2.
Yeah, the only one at a price that... Yeah, Ike Sport might be overpriced when I glanced at it back over hurdles, so he might be worth a 5 or a 10 each way. But I'm going to leave it to you boys. So you boys take it away and you give the listeners the winners, lads.
Well, I don't think I'm going to do that, but I lost money on Authorized Art a couple of weeks ago in the Sefton when I fancied him to run a big race, and he made a complete fool of me, particularly when I quite liked King Turgeon, but went, no, I'm going to go for the horse at the bigger price, and then slapped myself in the face. And I might end up throwing more money away on him this weekend. I think going back up and trip might help him. He was second in a Galway plate over fences over this kind of a trip not so long ago. That was only 2 years ago. He just hated the Grand National fences the last day, back over hurdles. His first run of the season was against Rupard. He was well beaten by him, but he shaped very well throughout the race, and back over hurdles, up over a stamina trip with Freddie Mitchell taking a very valuable £5 off. He rode a double for the yard last weekend. He can run a big race at a double figure price, but I'm not exactly in love with backing him, Andy. He's a speculative selection in a race that I am more than happy to skip if needs be.
Well, look, 60% of the last 10 winners had a claiming jockey on. So,
Andy, is there anything you don't have a stat for?
Christmas number ones and those kind of things. No, look. 60%, 6 of the last 10 have been ridden by a claimer, and the two horses that you both mentioned, even though, Peter, you haven't done your homework on this race.
Yeah, sorry, boys. I'll give myself a little slap.
Authorised Art. But there's a third horse with a claimer on, and that's last year's winner. So, look, that's going to be certainly one for the shortlist. Operation Manor. Tom Lacey has got an unreal strike rate with his hurdlers at the track as well, 50% strike rate, which is worth noting. Same jockey on as last year, claiming 7. I think it's maybe up £5 in the rating since last year. It sort of lost its way a bit after winning 3 on the spin. I think this race that it won last year was its third one of that trio of wins. But it's gone well fresh in the past, and the Lacey camp probably had this in mind to bring it back. And look, the other one, I think the Nicholls horse is interesting as well. Look, just quickly, the first two at the top of the market, west of the bridge. We talk about trainer stats. Skelton's just got his record over hurdles here is 4 from 52 at the track. So look, this 11-year-old hasn't won in 9. Same with that Dubrovnik Harry, that hasn't won in about 8 races, I think. So look, they're the two faves according to the market. I'm not happy with those two at all. But Henry II or Henry. Look, that had a sort of very promising start to its career, didn't it? It won a couple of bumpers and then actually won a Grade 2 novice hurdle. I think it was here at Sandown as well. Had some fairly good horses in behind. I think that Henry's friend who ran all right in the Coral Gold Cup last week came 5th. So had a lot of time off since then, so it's probably had some issues at the Nicholls camps. But it came back last time out, and I think it was here as well, wasn't it? It ran here, came 4th, and it was staying on that day. I mean, the commentator, I can't remember who it was about 2 hours, like, it's falling out and it's fading and all this kind of stuff. But actually, it wasn't at all. It was, staying on massively, and that was over a short trip. So it's up in trip. That's going to help. Obviously, first run back for a long time, so it's going to be fitter for it. And I just think, 5 to 1 of those 3 at the top of the market, much rather be having this one and last year's winner, I think.
Okay.
So Henry II and Operation Manor.
Okay, for a race that I wasn't particularly keen on beforehand, suddenly we actually might have an interesting play. Instead, we'll go back to Aintree for the 132, the Ball Sports, home of the early payout handicap chase. All right, fair enough. The 3-1 favourite is John Joe's Springwell Bay with AJ these days. 3-1 with Jeff Banks bet. John Joe Neal Jr., it's a real family affair in the saddle. Richmond Lake, who won this race a year ago for Donald McCain and Brian Hughes, 100-30. No Risk the Flow for the Murphy team with Jonbon on board, 13-2. Grandad's Cottage, 8s. And Serendipity, who I think is a very interesting runner, has been well backed with Jeff Banks bet, 14-1. 9-1, 17-2 now. Is this a race that takes more of your interest, Peter?
Not really, to be honest, but there's a couple there who I'd give chances to, but there's nothing I won't be betting in it anyway, but and there's nothing I would advise anyone to bet, but given that we have to talk about it, the two that I was kind of interested in looking at it would be Springwell Bay and Dr. TJ Eckelberg. I just thought both of them ran lovely races last time out. The form has been franked for Dr. TJ Eckelberg, with General Medrano winning. I'm just trying to remember who he beat. I'll just click it here. Do any of you boys know General Medrano? Oh, yeah, he beat Bobalco. That was the race we fancied. Isa Dairy. We all fancied him that day, and this horse won it well. So the form there is, it got a boost, and I thought Springwell Bay has been competing well in decent enough races. I mean, he's ran in 2 listed chases the last twice, and he won one of them, and then he was third to Highland at Cheltenham, which Highland seems progressive. So I think he's coming into this race in decent form, and I think he could run well. And I also think Dr. TJ Eckelberg could run well, but there's more strong fancies out there today for Saturday than this race. But look, if I had to pick one, I'll flick a coin between the two of them, so I'll go for the bigger price, Dr. TJ Eckelberg.
Okay, not in love with the selection, but it is a selection nonetheless. Andy, for you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't have that TJ either, really. It's got a low weight and it won quite well at Haydock. This will be harder. It's up £7. But the main reason, Evan Williams, they're just like, at the moment, I think they're only had a couple of winners in the last sort of 30 or 40 runners or something like that. But that would be the worry for me with that one.
He was one of them, to be fair.
He was one of them,
yeah, exactly. So...
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He hasn't had any winners, elsewhere. But I don't know. I just think this will be harder, personally. And he hasn't got a particularly great strike rate at the track either. 1 in 24, I think. Evan Williams. But look, last year's
I changed my mind. I'll go for the other one. Andy says it has no chance. I swap.
Well, yeah. Look, Springwell Bay. I think that's the more solid chance of the ones that you've put up personally. They tried it up to 3 miles, didn't they, last time at Cheltenham? And I don't think it didn't say. I just think it sort of just didn't quite get there.
Yeah, no, he stays. Yeah, he's the trip is not a problem for him.
Yeah, the trip was, it just raced a bit keen and so on. I think that was just, a tiny sort of aspect at the end of the race where it just couldn't quite pick up the Henderson horse that won it, wasn't it, at Highland?
He was good. He was real good.
And
Henderson horse, that is, as was the second horse that day. They were both well fenced.
That was a good little race. Yeah,
it was a cracking little race.
And so the Irish horse is no mug as well, but he won.
He's not a chaser, though.
Is he not? Okay.
No, he can't jump.
Does he not jump well?
No, can't jump.
Okay.
Well, before that, he beat that in Insurrection quite well at Chepstow. So I just think, look, down in trip, look, the form of the John Joe Yard, I can't harp on about Evan Williams. I mean, they're not particularly firing either at the moment. 4 winners from the last 32 as of today. But I'll take a bit of a punt that form's going to turn around. Look, 12 stone, it's not going to be easy. We know the ground's going to be very soft, if not heavy, but it has won on soft in the past. But generally, again, looking at past winners of this, you do want something, the sort of classier horses at the top of the handicap have fared better. I think all of the last 10 winners have carried 10 stone 10 or more. And 8 of the last 10 have carried 11 stone 1 or more. So I'm not too worried about that. Richmond lately, I won it last year, but look, that race fell apart and it just clambered over the last if you watch it back. And I don't know, I think it sort of won it by default a little bit last year, personally, Richmond Lake. So look, the other one I think that will run it close is that No Risk to Flow. That ran Loader Sud second at Stratford last time. And if you watch that race back, I mean, it was given quite a kind ride, so to speak. So I think, I remember who was on it that day. It might have been Sean Bowen as well.
Sean Bowen.
And Loader Sud was gone, so he probably just thought, I'm not going to catch that one. I'm not going to catch it. So he whizzed past it. Whoever
he wouldn't have caught him if he had another leg, Andy. That horse is a serious horse.
Exactly. But he still ran on quite well, I thought, to nab second. That came off after 150 or 60 days off. And just very well handicapped based on last season, and a lightweight. I know I've talked about the stats do point to something a bit higher up the handicap, but that's the backup. No risk to flow, but I think Springwell Bay will win this.
All right, keep an eye on Whistle in the Dark. I don't think he's going to like the ground, but keep an eye on him for later in the season. It's his first run for 100 and something days. 100.
Are you in the Welly Wobblers Club, Emmet?
I am not. But this fella won 4 races on the bounce and got up to a mark of 135 from memory.
138.
He won at Christmas, I remember, back in 2022. He absolutely bolted up on Boxing Day, did us a huge favour. That was his first win. Then he won by 9 lengths, beat Captain Matan and beat Riders in the Storm in a handicap chase. That was off 138. He did have a £3 claiming rider and then just kind of went backwards a little bit. But he's down to 130. I don't think he'll like the ground. I do notice that he's been clipped in with Jeff from 28s, 33s, I think, to 25s. There'd be a part of me that would be interested in him, but I just don't think the ground's going to be good for him at all. And it's going to be a real bog at Aintree this weekend, which should suit Serendipity, who for the last 2 seasons has won on his second run off a layoff, and he can do it again. His jumping has been atrocious at times, but it was pretty good on his comeback. Aside from a mistake at the 10th from memory, he was pretty much foot perfect the whole way around and just blew up. Looked like he badly needed the run. That will have put him spot on for this. He gets Jack Tudor for the first time. I love this guy, particularly in handicap chases. He's absolute mustard. And on his final start last season, he absolutely bolted up over this trip. Now, a 14-length win is what it says on paper. It wouldn't have been 14 lengths. There was a horse challenging him, but he was going to beat him. That horse comes down at the last. He was still going to be a really good winner of that race. He's off 122 now. He's been dropped a pound for his comeback run. All right. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. He'll love the ground. He'll love the trip. He's got a very good jockey on his back, and he should improve. And if he does like he has for the last 2 seasons, then that 17-2 is going to look real big with Jeff Banks' bet. I really like him. I think he's got a big chance. Second grade one for us to talk about. It's the Henry VIII Novices Chase. Betting with Jeff Banks sees Low de Sod as the odds-on favourite. He deserves to be an odds-on favourite. But is he going to win, Peter Michael?
Yeah, I think he is. But I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing this race. It's going to be interesting how it plays out. It's good to soft there at the moment in Sandown, but as we know, again, a lot of rain forecast there. Also, it could be very windy, which could have an impact on these novice chasers. So that could play a part in the race as well. I mean, how impressive was he the last time? Now, I know it wasn't as strong as the grade 2s, but, they couldn't go fast enough for him. He's 2 from 2 over fences. I just thought he was really impressive. But now, he was entitled to win easy the last time because, in the ratings, he should have been winning, but it's just the manner he did it. It was just, he's a slick jumper, travels so strongly, and as I said, that they can't go fast enough for him. He was basically tanking for most of the way. What I really liked about him and what I thought was crucial, you could see him meeting fences at the wrong stride, but he was so quick to correct himself. And that's pretty impressive for horses only at 2 runs over fences. And that clearly tells me he's a very, very smart. He's got a brain as a horse, and I think he could be a player in the Arkle. If Ballyburn, I think, will win it if everything goes to plan for him. But without Ballyburn, he'd be the one I'd be looking at for the Arkle, because I think the race will just suit him. So obviously, if I'm thinking of the Arkle for him, obviously I think he's going to win tomorrow on Saturday. But as I said, he has worthy opponents against him. He has down memory lane, who's also pretty impressive in his chase debut and jumped very, very well. Now, Gordon Elliott stated after his run in Leopardstown on heavy ground that he couldn't go on the ground. He said, Derek O'Connor said he just hated it. So I know he's running soft, but that was a maiden hurdle, so it's a different story, as you said earlier, Emmet. You're moving up in class. But you have to respect him, and you also have to respect Touch Me Not as well, who was also very impressive and jumped very, very well in the second run over fences. So there's 3 horses in this race who I was very taken by their last wins, and they're all clashing. And it's going to tell us a bit between the Irish novice chasers and the English novice chasers to see, where they lie. But it's hard to go against Low de Sod here, and I think he'll win it. But I do respect down memory lane and Touch Me Not, but I couldn't put them ahead of Low de Sod at this stage. So yeah, I think he's Yeah, I think he'll win.
So it's currently good to soft. There is it was like a monsoon downpour here in Ireland today, and I believe it's something similar in the UK. And obviously, Andy, you were talking about what our good friend Paul Ferguson was saying about Liverpool. Slightly different part of the country compared to London, but still, the forecast for the weekend isn't good. So, the overall point I'm making here is, did Down Memory Lane get beaten at Leopardstown in that Grade 1, which he was a red-hot favourite for in the days leading up to it, and then slightly drifted? It was really weird. He was a massive negative all morning, and then there was a bit of money for him before the off. Was he beaten because he hated the heavy ground, or was he beaten because there was something wrong with him? There must have been something wrong with him, particularly seeing as we didn't see him again afterwards.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Gordon said after the race, Derek O'Connor said Down Memory Lane never walked on the ground and was beat after 2 hurdles. So that's why I was saying that. So
he's eligible. He's
probably,
if it's really bad, he'll come out. Then you're not going to blow his season running again.
Yeah.
So, but by the way, what genius! You might think there's problems in British racing, and there's clearly a lot of problems in British racing. What genius decided to get rid of the Grade 1 over 2 miles at Leopardstown? Who thought that was a good idea? I don't know if you saw Willie Mullins rant about this during the week. He was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Emma Nagel put it up on the Irish Racing YouTube. He was, and the journalist who was trying to say, well, you got the race in Limerick. He couldn't answer him. He couldn't answer. Willie Mullins makes really good, succinct points, and the journalist who's been advocating for that race to be banned had no answer for him.
Yeah, it's just left a big gap, isn't it? So,
well, there's only been one Irish runner in this race over the last 11 years. Onana, who finished second for Henry de Bromhead, and now Gordon Elliott sending 2. And after Mark Boylan was saying, actually, that 2 mile race at Kempton's worth 100 grand now, Willie was saying he didn't know anything about it. But just absolute lunacy. Completely, particularly given the fact that 2 mile race at Leopardstown has produced horses who've gone on to either win or run very well in the Arkle. Let's get rid of that race. This'll be genius. Bunch of morons. Absolute fools.
Go on, Emmet. I love it.
Oh, but what's even better, though, is the journalist in question who was saying, we should be getting rid of these. We should be changing these Grade 1s to handicaps. Then is confronted with a trainer who he's not able to answer.
Well, I'll have to research that. I have to admit I didn't know about that, so I don't know who you're referring to. I'll have to read it.
I'd say he didn't think that was actually going to be aired. I'd say he thought that's going to be they'll cut that out. But Emma or the producer or someone went, no, this is really good. This is box office stuff. Put that out there. And nobody consulted the trainers. Nobody went to Willie and Gordon and Henry, people who've won that race over the last few years, and gone, hey, do you think it'd be a good idea if we get rid of this 2 mile Grade 1? Nah, let's just do it. Sure, they can run in the Limerick race instead. No, they can't. Morons.
There's no holding back, is there?
This race has actually thrown up 3 Arkle winners, isn't it? In sort of very recent times. So
might throw up another one.
I don't know. Yeah, well,
I tell you, this Cheltenham horse is. I'm telling you, he's
maybe.
He's look, special.
The Arkle betting at the moment. Obviously Ballyburn's the 2-1 favourite, and everyone's going to be all over that. But Sergino's the second favourite, and now after last week,
still.
It's 6 to work from what I look.
How is he still the second favourite?
So
be a good double, champion hurdle and the Arkle for Sergino. We should start doing that, lads. I'm sure the bookies would love to take that off us, but they might say for related bets.
Oh no, that'd be an affordability. That'd trigger an affordability check instantly. I'd say.
Wasn't there? I swear there was a Martin Pipe horse years ago that ran not obviously.
Yeah.
But he ran on the first day and then maybe in the stayers or something. Was it Side Bordeaux or something like that?
Oh, but that was Martin Pipe, though.
That was Martin Pipe, yeah.
That man is built different. He did things very differently. Jeff is still going 7-1 about Sergino, by the way. I guess he has to, because the talk from Nicky was they were going chasing, and he didn't completely rule it out. But now that you've won a fighting fifth, they're hardly going to do that. That being said, lads, let's not forget the fact that the second favourite for this race, or what is he? Is he third favourite for this? The Paul Nicholls horse has had 2 runs this season, both of them over hurdles. Paul's assistant trainer a very, very bright guy. He was saying this is the novice chaser they're most excited about this season. I did not expect him to throw him in to a grade 1 on his chase debut, though, in Rhubarb, especially after he won first time out. His first 2 starts of the season, both really impressive in hurdle races, both races he'd won the year before, and now you're going to throw him into a hot novice chase. This is either lunacy or a work of absolute genius, and I'm not sure which of the two. What do you make of this, Andy?
Yeah, it's a strange one. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good jumper over hurdles, so we'll just have to, we've got to take it on trust. I mean, for the fact they're running it in here, like you say, I mean, it must have been doing some serious schooling.
The way Paul's assistant trainer was talking about him, he was super excited about this fella, and that was a couple of months ago. For chasing,
because it's always a decent hurdler, but it's just off that sort of top draw sort of class, isn't it? So it may well turn him to be a better chaser, and we'll find out. But the ground, does it want it mega soft? Probably not. I don't know. I mean, the hurdle wins this season have both came on good ground. Last time it ran on soft, it was well beaten at air, heavy ground. At Wincanton, it was well beaten last February as well. So in the Kingwell, but I don't know. It is interesting, but then it's 6-1. So I mean, does that tell you a bit of a story?
Well, he'll love a right-handed flat track, but is he gonna love grade 1?
50-1 for the Arkle.
Grade 1 chasing on soft ground.
It's very hard to back him. Yeah, it's very hard to back him, especially in Sandown with the fences coming up so thick and fast.
Yeah,
down the back, it's very hard to back. But then again, like Paul Nicholls, as you said, he must be an absolute natural over fences. But even if he is he good enough to beat them? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was rated 1-4. Was it rated 147?
Yeah.
So technically, it's a better hurdler than Loader Sud, because that was rated in the sort of 1.
But Loader Sud is just out and out chasing.
And that's clear at the moment. It's 2 from 2. It was impressive last time at Cheltenham.
No, he has won. Like, I mean, he hasn't won the strongest of races. We have to say that about him. But it's just the manner he's been winning in it, lads. It's just, especially last time.
Jumped well, travelled well. I mean, the other thing to note, I mean, obviously the Elliott horses, would never run out, but all of the horses in this race have never run at Sandown full stop, hurdles or whatever. So, they're all going to be tasting, the venue for the first time. And I don't know, just the way it won last time, I mean, look, it's fairly obvious, but the Skelton horse, I think, looks a solid one to handle Sandown the best. I think it travelled well, it jumped well. It's going to love the railway fences, I think, personally. And look, that 10-1 for the Arkle, it might look a good. I'm not saying it's going to beat Ballyburn, but if you want to like an each way thing, and anything can happen between now and Cheltenham with Ballyburn, it might end up somewhere else. Who knows? Or
Ballyburn's just too short.
Exactly. So for that reason, I mean, you look at the others.
He's a freak, though. Ballyburn's a freak.
He is, but sure, I mean, we've seen loads of freaks running the Arkle, and
if he turns up, no, you can't back him. The bookies, they've killed Anti-Post.
Yeah,
you can't back him at 7-4. But I agree with Andy. Like, I think this horse each way for the Arkle. I mean, you mightn't even have 8 runners, so you're going to get first 3.
You will now. Now that the Turners is no longer a grade 1, you will now.
Right. Okay.
You wouldn't have had before. It would have been a great angle a year ago, but now, because he wouldn't have gone for the Turners, he would have always gone for the Arkle. But now that that's no longer a grade 1, it will be a big field for the Arkle, and it'll be a big field for the Brown Advisory.
Yeah,
good point.
Look, as soon as Sagino comes out of the Arkle, which we know it's less Hendo has a complete U-turn again, which actually is possible. You never know.
Doing new fences.
God knows. But look, regardless, as soon as Sagino comes out, then look, unless Loader Sud completely bombs out on Saturday, the price is naturally going to sort of mirror what Sagino's is now, 6 or 7-1, and then and we'll see if it wins on Saturday, it'll come down as well. So I don't know, 10-1 looks all right to me personally. Firefox needs that loss at the weekend. It's got a few questions to answer and so on. So yeah, I mean, the race could just fall apart a little bit, couldn't it?
It's possible I've bumped my head and suffered a concussion, I'm back in Rubod. 13-2. Like, it's okay. It's his first ever run over fences. It's a small field. Nicholls has won this race twice in the last 10 years.
Get some money back off you, Emmet.
Yeah, and technically speaking, I get 10% back of any net losses after my first month of betting. Oh, it's no longer my first month of betting. Damn it. But if you're following me in and it's your first month of betting with Jeff Banks Bet, well, sign up now, jeffbanks.bet. Use the promo code FFP500 and you get 10% of any net losses after your first month of betting back up to £500. So if you follow me in and do your dough, at least you know you're going to be getting something back. 13-2 is, I'd say he's a better hurdler than Lodesod. And Lodesod was really, really good at Cheltenham. Very impressive. But Paul Nicholls is throwing this fella into a grade 1 on his first ever chase start. Why? Because he must know something we don't. And down memory lane, yeah, really impressive first time. I don't think that was expected at all, which is why he was the price he was. And he's not going to he shouldn't like the ground unless he's radically changed. Touch Me Not was really good, but I don't know what to make of that form. And it's slightly concerning to me that he was beaten by Facile Mode first time up. So Lycon needs to start now. So 13-2 is just a little bit too big. Yeah, I'm taking the Nicholls horse. He's at least going in a lucky 63 or lucky 31 for the weekend. All right, final selections. Peter.
Lodesod.
Andy.
Yeah, same. Lodesod. But you're right. I think the Nicholls horse probably looks the value. Yeah, definitely. But Lodesod for me, only because we know what it's like on fence already.
Oh, it's going to be some crack when the master beats the apprentice. Or the apprentice beats the master, or else Gordon decides to come along and wreck the party on both of them. We shall see. I think, yeah, it's too big a price about Rupert. I'm going to have to go with it. But the two boys think I'm crazy. We'll see how the whole thing plays out. Right, that's the 150. We'll stay at Sandown for the 225. If we can get the race card in the proper order here, shall we? This is the handicap hurdle. There we go. Thank you very much. This Wilmot wins this, doesn't he? He was sent off 9-4, second favourite for the Cello hurdle on only his second ever start over hurdles. He's been given a mark of 130. Nicky Henderson has won this race multiple times in the last 10 years. He just goes and wins. Peter.
Yeah, well, I tell you, when I went through this, I thought it was between the top two in the betting, I have to say, but I would respect the Harry Fry horse, Alto Belly. And I think you guys were, or I don't know who it was, mentioned Royal Way last time out. They said could be well in, but he kind of bombed out. But I would be a bit surprised now if either Wilmount or Cabral du Matanda not win this race. I think there's a potential both of them could be pretty well handicapped. I couldn't really make up my mind who to choose between them, so I tried to get the Nicky Henderson stable tour, and I went and I saw what he said about Wilmount, and Jesus, he wouldn't put you off anyway with what he said about him. He sounds very confident about this horse, and if he is right, then off 130, he should win. But the Nicholls horse is unbeaten. Won last time. I don't think he was doing much in front. He could also be a well-handicapped animal, so you have to respect him as well. I would be surprised, even though I do respect the Harry Fry horse Alto Belly, and there's one or two others there I would respect, and I think they will be winning races soon enough. But I would be a bit surprised on the day if either Wilmount or Cabral du Matanda don't win it. I think both of them could be, I can see them leaving their marks behind by a stone or at least £10, possibly more even. But I'll go for Wilmount as my first choice in this race, and I think Cabral du Matanda will chase him home. He's done nothing wrong. I pulled up last time. As we know, Henderson's horses, towards that time of the year, they were starting to get sick. I know he had excuses that his shoe came off as well. And I don't know what else Nicky said about him in the stable tour that for that day that he underperformed. But just put a line through that form. On his form previous to that, he was very impressive every time he ran. Now, the form didn't amount to a whole pile, but it's just the manner of his victory. The best piece of form he probably has there was his point-to-point beating Shannon Royal. But when you read what Henderson says about him, you just have to think he's a graded horse when you read what he said about him. So yeah, Willmount for me and Cabral de Montan to chase him home.
How far does Willmount win by, Andy?
It doesn't win.
How dare you?
Andy,
How
come on,
dare
Andy.
you?
No, I mean,
Didn't you read the stable tour?
No,
exactly.
to be honest, I didn't read the stable tour, and now you said that, I'm a little bit worried. But it's 4-1. I mean, look, if this is like Jericho all over again last week, it's
Wait, are we getting fours?
Fours, yeah.
I see 4-1 as well. Yeah.
I thought we were getting threes, and I thought that was fair.
Oh, fours.
It's only got
here.
10
Sorry, Andy.
I mean,
please make your point. Sorry, very rude of me there.
No,
Apologies.
look, I think the case for Willmount is an obvious one. If you can just completely rule out its last run, which, everyone's entitled to one bad run. It's back in trip, which will probably help. It raced a bit keen, lost a shoe, blah, 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 and it could be very well handicapped. But why is it 4-1, pushing on 9-2? I don't know.
Because we haven't got stuck in yet.
Yeah.
That's why myself and Ed.
We're going to fix that.
I just think, the Nicholls horse is obviously fitter. Yes, it's going to be harder than its win last time out at Kempton, but I thought that, it did it quite well there. And I think it's interesting that he's bringing it out just 12 days after that Kempton run. He's not giving it a rest, a break, or whatever. And, this looks on a nice mark as well, 131. It's only got 10 stone 9. Nicholls has won this in the past as well. Soft ground will be absolutely fine. So I think, of the two at the top of the market, that I'd rather be with the Nicholls horse here. Look, we've got last year's winner in the race as well, for Gary Moore, but I think it's sort of fallen off the back of a cliff since then, isn't it? As I think it's £4 higher. I think it had a claimer on as well last year, and it hasn't this year. So you can't totally rule it out because, I do like the old last year's winner's angle, that kind of thing. But I think Knickerbocker Glory will run all right as well.
I agree with that.
Its record fresh is super duper. I think it won first time out last year and 2022. Soft ground will be fine. Came second in the Imperial Cup in 2023 here at Sandown. So if you want a bigger price, then I don't know what that is, 8s, 10s maybe. I think Knickerbocker Glory each way probably the value over the Nicholls horse. But Willmount.
Oh, I sense that. That's Andy's lay for Saturday.
No, don't do it, Andy. Don't. You've been on a good run with those, and I don't want to see it come to a spectacular end.
No, I wouldn't.
Don't do it, Andy.
I generally want horses that have run a few more races than Willmount, and we'll see.
Yeah,
look, we'll find out. We'll find out if Nicky's lofty stable tour comments are justified. But,
I think he's going to end up shorter than 4-1. I think both the front two are going to shorten, to be honest.
Yeah,
just my take on
it. I completely agree. Okay, we're going to move to Aintree. We're going to skip the juvenile hurdle because who cares at this point, particularly when the hotly fancied East India Dock came out. Although the horse that was meant to be better than him last weekend, Lavender Mob. I actually felt the Willie Mullins horse who got beaten at odds on by Joseph's horse. I thought he actually ran quite well, but that's one for another conversation for another day. We'll talk more about that with Adam Mills, who's back on the show next week. I know he was really keen on that French horse. But anyway, we'll chat more about that with him on the Final Furlong podcast on next week's show. Right, the 317 is the Ball Sports Best Odds Guaranteed Handicap Hurdle. Further mention of the fact that you can watch live British and Irish racing on the Jeff Banks app for free. You've got if you sign up now to jeffbanks.bet, use the promo code FFP500, 10% of any net losses back up to £500 after your first month of betting, literally giving you your money back, and you won't even need it because you'll have made so much money from Peter and Andy's selections if they're able to maintain their form from the last few weeks, and all the indications are very positive that they very much will. But who is going to be taking the handicap hurdle, Peter?
Well, I have to stick with a horse I put up here 2 weeks ago as my nap of the weekend, and he was second and they were pulled 11 lengths clear the third. So that was painful. My last two naps in this show have both come second. So hopefully this weekend we can get a winner. But I'm going to stick with the Nagoridi. He was very impressive when winning at Listowel. A lot of things, like he had to go very wide, and you like he came from a good bit further back than you would have thought would have been possible to win from. And then he ran a nice race the last time. I think he just bumped into a horse equally as well handicapped. Now his English mark is quite high, as we know. You know, when the Irish go over there, they put them up. So he's running off 118. He ran off 103 the last time, and he was second, 11 lengths clear the third. Yeah, I think he's got a decent each-way chance, and I see no reason why he shouldn't be in the top 3 or 4 if you can get that. And I think he's got as good a chance as any to win it, and he's a nice price, around 7-1. I still think he'll be winning races. You know, I also think the horse that beat him the last time will win more races, so I think that's a piece of form I'll be following. So yeah, that's the one for me here each way. I think he's a progressive horse, and I don't think he's finished climbing up the handicap ratings yet.
Okay. I quite like Tamar Bridge. He won this race 3 years ago. That was his last win, but he's only had 4 starts since. He won that off a mark of 128. He's down to 125 now, and he gets Jonbon for the first time. The McNeil family have had to be very, very patient with this fella. Hopefully that's going to be rewarded. And the fact that Sean was booked during the week for this quite a far way out, I thought was significant. However, I'm going to share this, and I hope it's all right to do so, because this is what I would say is, without question, the best ratings site in the business. We've done some work with them in the past, but this is completely a free promo, and I hope they're okay with me showing this information, because you have to subscribe to Proform to get their data of the previews. Proformracing.com is the website. There is Timeformer great, Racing Poster great. I use both of them. I use Proform for every single race meeting. I could not recommend them highly enough. And pretty much every single racing pundit in the business uses Proform in one way or another. They're excellent. They're outstanding. They have top selected Tamar Bridge. He comes out an overall rating for them of 158. The forecast price they were looking for was 6-1. We're getting 7-1. So he's a bet.
I'm sort of with you with Tamar Bridge as well. I mean, look, Sean Bowen actually rode that Pyramid Place last time, who they ran against each other when that Tamar Bridge was second. I think Pyramid Place was fourth that day, and got hampered by Faller and whatever, but it's come out and won since. But Sean Bowen was on when it won. He's now gone off it and you know, back on Tamar Bridge. So that is potentially significant. Brian Hughes rides the other one. But yeah, I think that's got a chance. Bingu, possibly. Little Squeak, unseated last time out. Was probably in the shout at the time. And Santos Blue, I think, is probably the other one for the shortlist. That hasn't run for a while, but had a good season last season. Won at Uttoxeter last time out in March, only £3 higher. Form of that race has been frank. That Jaguar, I think, was in fourth, and that's won a few times since. So, and look, it ran Crambo to only, I don't know, a couple of lengths at Aintree last October. So, you know, that horse obviously came out and won the long walk. So decent form there, I think, for Santos Blue and Tamar Bridge. They're the two. Just throw it here.
Final race is the 335. It's the London National Handicap. We've got Tommy Bow, Ballygriffin Cottage, all your old favourites lining up here. The question is, who's going to be lining up in the winner's enclosure after the race? Peter Michael.
Oh, to be honest, I didn't even know we were doing this race.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Andy Newton, bail him out. Who's going to win?
Well, geez, it's going to be like slow motion stuff, this one, isn't it? Right, look, I've got 3 for the shortlist. Look, a claimer has won 5 of the last 7 here of this race.
Oh.
Okay, and there's only one claiming jockey riding, Freddie Gordon. He's on Chris Gordon's Unanswered Prayers. That won the Southern National, I think, at Fontwell last time out, stayed on really well. So I think it'll be fine over the drip and blah, blah, blah. It's only up £4, I think, from that last run. And look, the other 2, Tommy Bow was interesting when had the cross-country race. Probably would have, I don't know if it would have won, but it would have been thereabouts, you think, Emmet? I don't know.
He wouldn't have won it, but he wouldn't have been far away.
And yeah, when he bombed out of the rail.
Well, it was too early, but it was just insanity what happened, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It was they were sort of just turning in, weren't they, when they were tackling the hurdles? I don't know, but it was still probably 2 or 3 to jump, wasn't there? But I don't know,
I'm pretty certain it was 3 to jump, so it is too early to know. But
probably too early to know. Yeah, but I reckon it would have got in the top 4.
Did you see the footage of the owner in the stands? Somebody was filming him for a feature, and it's like, oh dear.
Oh, yeah. Did he lose the plot?
No. Well, no, he handled it, but nobody wants to see that happening.
But the interesting thing is, James, that they've got James Best, because who was on that day? Mikael Nolan was on, I think. But they've got James Best back on. And, you know, if you like your old stats, he's never lost on this horse, 2 from 2 on it. So, look, I think Sandown, it's the first run at Sandown, that's the only thing, but it's an improving stayer and consistent and so on. And look, and we have to probably mention Broken Halo, who ran the race last year. And I think it fell, and late on, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 out, or maybe even the last, I can't remember now, but it was still going all right. And I think, I'm not saying it would have won, but it would have been thereabouts.
Yeah.
And it's not had a wind up, funnily enough.
He has.
Yeah, no, look, it has. I missed that. So look, that could be something. It's a course winner.
Andy, how did you make that mistake? It's a Paul Nicholls horse. Of course he's had a wind up.
Yeah, of course he has. I just sort of, you just have to not even check these days and just go, yeah, it's had a wind up.
This is the horse's second wind up, I'll have you know.
Oh my God, he's had 2. Jeez, right.
But again, it's a Paul Nicholls horse, so of course he's had a second wind up.
Yeah, look, so let's go with that. And look, it's been a shocking race for the old Fabs as well. Only one favourite in the last 18 has won this, so don't be afraid to delve deeper into the market. Yeah, favourite at the moment looks to be that Van Gogh, is it, Mr. Van Gogh? Which was pulled up in the Scottish National.
I have a feeling Tommy Bowe is favourite. Wait, that can't be right. That can't be right. Please hold, caller. Your call is very important to us at Final Furlong Podcast Towers. Montgomery's 13-2. Mr. Van Gogh, indeed you are correct, is the 11-2 favourite.
So yeah, I'll be taking that on just based on the favourite stat, really. So yeah, look, it's all 3 there. I'll probably come down on Broken Halo and maybe Tommy Bowe to make amends last time, just because James Best is unbeaten on him. All right,
undefeated. But
don't rule out. Don't unanswered prayers. Don't rule that out, only because of the claiming stat as well.
Yeah, I really like Broken Halo. I don't like the fact that it's his first run of the season, because he is 0 from 3 starts after 60 days or more of a layoff of 60 days or more. But hey, it's Paul Nicholls. He's not going to want for fitness. And Paul has won this race 4 times in the last 11 years. And this is the only horse he had entered during the week for it. So maybe, speaking of coming down way too far out to be able to know how things would have gone, you are right, Andy. He was going very, very well in this race a year ago. And it's interesting.
And I think that was his first run. Was that his first run last season?
It might have been, actually. I'll need to fact check that one.
Yeah, but you are right. I mean, generally off a layoff, it hasn't had sort of great stats. But it was in the process of running.
You're right. But it was his seasonal debut last year, and he was going real, real well. Disputing third when fell 2 out, and then was a disaster in his next 2 starts. So maybe this is the time to catch him. Go first time out, and he is pro form top rated for the race as well. All right, final selections for the weekend naps. Peter Michael, who's your best bet of the weekend?
Well, to be honest, just quite a few I fancy from Friday onwards. So it's tough to pick one. There's quite a few I fancy. So if anybody wants to get my selections, go onto my Twitter page and send me a DM, and I'll put you into the group. It's free. December's free. So we just started up there, and we're slightly in front already in December.
Good man.
That's after seven winning months out of 10 on the Twitter pages, but we're not posting there anymore. Cheers. Thanks, lads. So if anybody wants to receive my daily selections, as I said, December's free. You can join, go in there for December, and leave if you want. If you think I don't know what I'm talking about, which I don't. So I'll go with Billy the Real Big. Yeah. Oh, well, look, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt. Billy the Real Big Red, 2:10 at Exeter. I'll put up to try and get a winner here after 2 seconds. If this one comes second, I'm smashing my computer and my laptop and everything I have. Enough of seconds. So Billy the Real Big Red to put the seconds to first. 2:10 Exeter on Friday.
Nice.
Do you want the next best?
Yes, please.
Flick of a call, either Ludesad or Wilmont. I'll go for Ludesad so I can try and get the double up.
Okay.
Ludesad and Sandown 150.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that because that means I can nap Wilmont and not be feeling bad about that. Andy Newton, who is your best bet of the weekend?
Well, I'm going to go with Peter's next best as my best bet of the week. There's loads of sud in the Henry.
Oh, that's all right.
And if Elliot pulls out the down memory lane, then it's going to be a silly price, so we'll just have to scrap it. But even money, I thought it'd be short than that. I thought it'd be odds on, to be honest. So is it value? Don't know. We'll find out on Saturday. And the next best, let's go in one of the other big races, the Becher, Gaborio, longer trip, third in the Sefton, low weight, consistent. I think that's a solid each way bet. But don't rule out last year's winner. Right, as a little cover at Chambard,
especially for Felicia Williams. Okay.
Exactly, she's fine.
I love Quilixius. I would be delighted to see him win at the weekend. I'd be pretty sick, though, because I will have Jonbon in the Lucky 63. Sandown, flat track, he wins, I think. But I'm hoping Quilixius will build on this, and then come March, he'll outperform him in the Champion Chase. And maybe he can go and get the win. Hopefully I don't look like a complete fool with him falling out the back of the telly this weekend. It's a Lucky 63. Jonbon, Garborio, Serendipity, Wilmount is the nap of the weekend for me. Tamar Bridge and Rubard, whatever. I am following in Paul Nicholls' assistant trainer blindly on this. Of all the horses they have in the yard, of all the incredible talent, including Caldwell Potter, who won at the weekend. Yeah, he was long odds on. Yeah, he probably should have won, but he did it really, really nicely. Of all the talent, this was the horse he was saying is the most exciting novice chaser in the yard. 2 runs over hurdles, straight into a great run over fences. 3rd win in the race in 11 years for the Nicholls team. Let's go with Rubard in the Henry VIII Novices Chase. That's it. We went over. I know Peter was supposed to leave 20 minutes ago and he stayed on the show, so that's very decent of him.
Don't be silly.
Or he's going to get kicked in the nuts by his significant other for staying on a show when he should be with her. But in any case...
I'm used to that.
Thank you for that. Thank you for watching. If you haven't hit the like button on this episode already, please do so. And if you have not subscribed to the episode yet, hit the subscribe button now, particularly if we deliver you a boatload of winners this weekend, which hopefully we will. From Andy Newton, Peter Michael, and me, Emmet Kennedy, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again very, very soon on the Final Furlong podcast. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.